I could draw within a Planck's width of God, the smallest distance possible in the universe, and there would still be an infinitely wide fundamental category difference between myself and the divine. Because I exist and God doesn't. Now, hear me out. I'm not abandoning my faith in front of you in real time here. It's not a crisis. I don't need an intervention right now. At least I don't think so. I'm actually exposing the core of my faith, which is that I think everything that exists is created in God. I think everything that exists is created by God. Which is why I am with Paul when he says, all things created, all things in heaven and on earth, things visible and invisible, even things like thrones and rulers and authorities and powers, absolutely anything that has ever existed has been created through God and for God. And therefore God, specifically, he's talking about Christ here, is before all things, and in Christ all things hold together. But what a passage like that says to me, when I read that not only are all things created by God, they are held together in God. Sustained by God is how some translations will render this Greek word sunestemi. When I read that, what I realize is that God is not another thing in the universe with me. God is, in the words of Paul Tillich, the very ground of being. Maybe we could even say this: God is the name we give to what we experience as existence. See, today, you and I, we know this. We're made up of cells, right? And all the things around us, including those cells, are made up of molecules. Those molecules are made of atoms, and those atoms are made of protons and neutrons, surrounded by a swirling cloud of probability that we call an electron. Thing is, though, we know we can even go smaller because protons and neutrons are made up of quarks. And quarks are still a thing. They're a little bit of the universe. But they interact with what we call bosons, and those aren't even things at all. At least not the way we like to think of things. Bosons don't exist as matter in the universe. They're more like excited fields of energy. And yet they are what carry the relationship between the smallest particles in the universe. In doing that, though, they make existence possible for the universe. See, there's a boson called a photon that carries the electromagnetic force between electrons, and sometimes it looks like light. And there's a boson called a gluon that carries the strong force between quarks, and it holds them together in the center of an atom. It's the strongest force in the universe, by the way. We don't know why it's contained in the center of an atom, though. There's something we call W and Z bosons. They carry what we call the weak force. They're what allow the universe to evolve. They can rewart a quark, a thing that exists, into a different type of thing that exists, inside an atom, even while the strong force holds them together. But the point is, the very idea of being a thing, the concept of existence itself, is just a continuous line of relationships all the way down until all that's left is actually nothing but the relationships. When you get small enough, things don't exist anymore, just relationships. Organisms are interdependent, cells are interconnected, molecules are strings of atoms, and atoms are collections of particles. Those particles are groups of quarks, which are waves of bosons, which are just relationships of energy that glue it all together. There is absolutely no point in the universe, no matter how big or small you want to get, where anything that exists on its own. And my argument is that God does not exist at any one of those points along the chain. God is the name we give to that which holds all of it together. And I don't mean this in a God of the gaps kind of way, like we don't understand this, therefore God. What I mean is that from everything we do know about what it means to exist, from the gravity that we are using to send Artemis 2 to the far side of the moon and back, to the cosmology of the Big Bang, to the quantum dynamics of particles, to the lives that you and I get up and lead every single day, all of it is defined by relationship. and everything has everything to do with everything else. Which means the most important thing in the universe isn't in the universe, it's the relationship that sustains all of it. A relationship that somehow existed on the other side of creation. Like before there was a universe, in a reality that you and I can't even begin to imagine, but one that we describe with words like Father and Son and Spirit. Words that use images we know from the world around us to reach toward an imagination of God, not as a being, but as the very relationship from which all existence blooms. See, maybe I could say it this way. God doesn't exist, at least not in the way you and I do, in the universe. God is the space between us that allows the universe to exist at all. And faith, then, is about slowly learning to trust that it is that same divine relationship that makes our existence possible. It is that relationship that then forms, guides, shapes, holds all things together in love. And the real miracle, then, isn't when the rules break. The miracle is that the rules exist, that things are at all. That gravity exists. That the strong force holds within an atom, that you are here breathing molecules of oxygen right now, that you are matter that can think and feel and speak in love. You are a little bit of all of the relationships that comprise the universe, and you get to know about yourself. And that means you get to choose your steps in the world. You get to decide to love. You get to kneel in front of a little girl and tell her she is smarter than she realizes. You get to use all of the relationships of atoms and cells and quarks and personal history that comprise your self-awareness within the universe to better the relationships that comprise someone else's self-awareness in the universe. I say this without a hint of sarcasm. That is fantastically miraculous. Because the same reality that holds quarks together inside an atom, the same reality that stretches galaxies across billions of light years, is the same reality holding this moment together in your mind right now. All of it is just relationships. And that is what we're talking about when we talk about God. The ground of being that sustains and holds all things. The ground of being that enters the pages of the story with us to speak to us. The ground of being which shows us there is no such thing as an end to relationships, which means there is always resurrection because the universe is a miracle of love all the way down.